Back, and if you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Pao, and I just came back from an actual library interview, and I want to tell you all the details right here, right now, while they're still fresh in my mind. I'm talking about I just came back. I turned on the camera, I put on a new fresh coat of lipstick, and here we are. So buckle in, because this is literally what they just asked me. To start off with, this is for a library administrative assistant job, meaning that I'm not just gonna be only helping in circulation, but I'm also going to be doing the back end stuff. So here's the job description. Provides administrative support for the library operations, including tracking and following up on projects, performing accounts payable functions, ordering library materials and supplies, organizing, coordinating, and reviewing mail, and referring to appropriate staff or individual to handle, and preparing for public and staff meetings. So that's essentially it. There is more to it. So they also have a list of duties that you are responsible for, and I'll read them to you right now. Provides exceptional customer service to internal and external customers, provides administrative support for librarians, conducts research activities and projects as assigned, prepares cash receipts, prepares daily and monthly reports and deposits, ensures security of public funds, plans and organizes and manages work activities related to purchasing, preparing, and maintaining all library materials, orders library materials in multiple formats, including books, magazines, CDs, movies, and electronic audiobooks, ebooks and supplies, online databases, verifies packing shipments and packing lists, and maintains a database of items on order and items received. Performs accounts payable functions to the library, serves as a liaison to library vendors, resolves billing issues with vendors, suppliers, and billing issues, processes an invoice for payment. And then it also has the typical qualifications. For them, they did prefer a college degree. So it says the minimum education, experience, and certification, an associate's degree or equivalent combination of education and experience, and 1 year of administrative assistant experience or training that include customer service, communication, and organization skills in a comparable environment or equivalent combination of education, training, and experience. So essentially, they are looking for someone with admin experience for at least 1 year and at least an associate degree or something equivalent or higher than associate's degree. So personally, if you don't know me, I do have 2 bachelor's degrees, one in marketing and one in fashion merchandising. I also do have local government experience in terms of admin experience. My communication role for one of the cities that I did work for actually did put me in a secretary position. Hence, being an admin, I did learn a lot of things like taking minutes, taking notes, taking food orders, emailing correspondence back and forth, double checking everything, and I also did do reports, just monthly expenses and reports, making sure everything was accountable, and then I did have an accounting person that I did send it off to. That being said, these are some of the interview questions that weren't typical of this position that I didn't really expect and how I answered them. So the first one being like, did you read the job description? Which I'm like, I feel like everybody should read the job description, but yeah, it was a lot of accounts payable questions, meaning like, do you have experience in it? If so, what? And I just kind of explained to you a little bit about my experience. It wasn't specifically for books, but I have had secretary experience of it. And they wanted to see an example of me ordering something for my job. And the best explanation that I could give them was in my communications role, I did have experience researching something and ordering something and justifying that something for my department. And luckily it did get approved. And so it was a great way to tell them I may not have direct experience in, the library world in terms of ordering books or catalogs or anything, but I do have experience justifying and being within a budget, a government budget, to get this new thing, which was a new software that we implemented. And even towards the end, I did have to train coworkers on how to use this new software. So that was really fun. The other hard-hitting question that they did ask is since you read the job description, what do you think is the best part and worst part of this job? And I was a little flabbergasted. I'll be honest with you. I did not expect that question because first of all, how would I know if I'm not doing the job already? Like I said, I did try my best. I told them that I feel like I am really good in terms of communication. I am really good at just being able to give really good customer service and help when needed, in terms of like helping patrons get to where they're going and find their solutions. Really good at that. And then in terms of like the secretary side, it's not that I'm bad at it. It's more that I feel like I don't have like professional formal training. Like I did have to make it up as I go because they did just place me in that role on top of my other duties, and I just kind of started like learning as I went along, and it was a fun experience. I told them like it wasn't a formal one, but it was a fun one, and I also did get help from other people in other departments because they had their own commission secretaries. So that's what I was a commission secretary, and so I did tell them I had to learn a lot of different things really fast, and so did my director, because this was the first time he was also like a liaison for that. And I feel like they really liked my honesty, because I did tell them like I am comfortable with like Excel. I did have to make a template because there was no actual template for my commission, so I did have to make that from scratch. And she's like, are you proficient in Excel? I'm like, I told her I was honest, and I told her I'm not, but I am willing to learn if you need me to be up to that level. Like I'd be happy to learn more Excel if you need me to like get up to that level. And I feel like she really did value that, the fact that I was open to learning instead of me lying through my teeth and saying like, yes, I love Excel and I know everything there is to know about Excel. So I feel like honesty was the best policy when it came down to that difficult question. Another question that they did say was like, how would you handle a difficult experience with a patron or customer, and how did that go? And they basically wanted to see if I could hold my own in terms of a stressful situation, which I completely understand, right? This is a public facing job, and you're not just gonna be, you know, behind the stacks. You're gonna be there to help patrons out. Some of the times it's not gonna be a great experience, like anything in customer service. So to answer that question, I basically told them about this story about having a difficult patron one time. And it was this elderly man, and he came up to my desk just when I started my shift on the circulation desk, and I didn't know what was going on. I just saw that he was visibly upset, so I let him talk. You know, he had my full attention. I had direct eye contact with him. I was nodding. I was making sure that he understood that I was doing active listening. And then after him explaining to me that he needed help on the computer, I quickly went with him to the computer and tried to solve his problem right away. And then after like realizing what his problems were, which is like he had trouble logging in and then he had trouble printing, I realized that he thought that there was a person dedicated to helping out on the computers. And he had seen other people, the pages, which is basically people who shelve. They usually just do shelving, or they're volunteers, and he thought that he was being ignored. I quickly tried to tell him like, oh, well, the way, you know, the library works here is that you come to us. Obviously, I can't really see you from the circulation desk, but I am happy to help in any way possible, but there is no dedicated person to the library section. And he quickly like understood. After like everything was resolved, and I personally told him like, if you have any more trouble, just come look for me. I'll be right there and I can help you out with anything else like troubleshooting related. And yeah, he became a happy customer, happy patron, and I feel like they really liked that story because that was actually something that happened. That was a little scary, but it just turns out that, you know, people just need a little kindness every now and then. So, and a little bit of grace as well. I guess like apart from like basic library questions, which I will post in the description, there were like a lot of basic library questions. ChatGPT came in for the win. So the way ChatGPT helped prep for this job is basically I asked it to tell me like, okay, I'm applying to this city, I'm applying to this position, and I want you to give me a mock interview. You be the interviewer, I be the interviewee, right? And then you give me feedback on my questions on how I can fine tune it. Chat was awesome. So I used the live voice recording option that Chat now has. So it would essentially say, okay, are you ready for this mock interview? And I said, let's go for it, Chat. And so it would start with question number 1. And it was like, who are you? And like, tell us a little bit about yourself. And you're like, that's the most basic question. Well, lo and behold, the moment Chat asked me that, I drew a blank. And guess what? That was actually the first question that I got in my interview after everybody else introduced themselves. That was the first question. And because Chat had prompted me, and I had already practiced this, I kind of already had a structure in my head, and I'm just like, oh my god, chat gave me cheat codes and this is amazing. Like, I was already mentally prepared, and I know that's one of the easier questions, but you'll be surprised how much you forget on the first question before you're even warmed up. Like, you just draw a blank. You're like, I don't know who I am. Who are you? Like, where am I? Luckily, so I did practice with chat, and at the beginning, the feedback that chat would give me was like, I need you to structure it in a way so that it's like a bite-sized piece of information and they can easily digest it. And it basically said, you need to say, hi, my name is, and here is my education, and then here's my work experience, just to give them a little overview of like things that, you know, you've done. And so obviously, because I had already practiced with chat, done. I already had this structure in my head. I was like, all right, on to number 2. By the way, just to give you a little bit more insight on this interview, it was a 5-panel interview, meaning that there was 5 people on the other side of an executive desk, and I was on the other side in one chair. If you could believe it, it is a little nerve-wracking, so best believe I came prepared with my answers through ChatGPT. As the interview progressed, like, you could get a feel for people's like interview style, like if they were casual or not, if they were professional. I did, in my interview panel, just to give you the gist of it, I had 3 library members, a director of library services, head librarian, I had a youth librarian as well. And then I also had 2 other people from different departments. One was from 911 communication, and then the other one was an HR representative. So it was a mixed bag of people, and it was pretty interesting. They did have a packet. I am talking about like a full packet of questions. And the way it went is basically, it was like a round table type thing where they kept asking me questions one by one by one by one. Luckily, pro tip here, please bring your water bottle, because they did not offer me water. Bring your water bottle, because my throat would have just started shaking immediately had I not had water. Like, you know when your voice cracks after like talking for so much? That's literally what would have happened to me had I not had my water bottle. So be prepared, you guys. Also, bring a pen and paper, just in case, to give you information that you think is very interesting or important. Bring that as well. So this big packet, 3 or 4 pages filled of questions, and each one of them needed a lengthy question because they started to write everything down as I said it. But because ChatGPT had helped me structure every single question, honestly, the fun part of it all was feeling so prepared, because guess what? I think they also did the same thing. I think they also asked Chat to make questions for them so that they could have questions for me. So basically, we asked the same person the same thing, except I got the answers, they got the questions. So it was so great feeling like super prepared. Like I said, I will have the questions down below that Chat did give me, and I also will provide the prompt that I put into it. You just have to kind of like tweak it a little to your needs, obviously. The last little tidbit that I'm gonna leave you with before my voice just goes out is wearing something that you feel comfortable in and something that is memorable. So I wore, and I'll show it up here, I literally wore something that I've been wearing for like every interview for the past decade, which is just a simple Charlotte Russe like jacket with a nice blouse with some nice pants and some loafers that were really, really cute and really, really professional. I also did bring like a Longchamp bag to have paper and pen inside of it and anything else I needed. And then in terms of like something memorable, the only reason why I say something memorable is because you're in a sea of candidates. They're going to interview so many people, and if you're smack dab in the middle, which is another pro tip that I'm gonna give you soon, if you're smack dab in the middle, they're gonna forget about you unless you wear something that is memorable to them in a good way, right? I ended up wearing bright red lipstick. Not this lipstick, actually. It was actually one that was a little brighter and a little bit more professional in my opinion. This one I feel like I look like a little vampire, which I love. But I ended up wearing some lipstick and very minimal makeup after that. It was literally just a coat of lipstick. And I felt very classy, I'm gonna be honest with you. So hopefully they do remember me off that. Now, the reason why I say ChatGPT helped me in terms of like a lot of things in this interview process, it also told me what day to schedule my interview, which you're just like, wait, hold on, what? Listen, so when I got the email saying like, hey, thank you so much for applying, like here's the link to schedule your interview appointment, I looked at the dates. I had a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday available, and I'm thinking like, okay, I want to be the first one, right? And so before I like clicked on it, I asked Chat like, hey, what would be the best time for me to schedule my interview? And Chat looked at it and it told me Wednesday. I was like, what? Why? And then it said, well, if you are the first one to get interviewed, a lot of people, when they're interviewing someone, they are scrutinized basically because they can't play favorites. Even if they like this candidate so much, they're like, I'm holding out for something better. I like you, but maybe you're not the best yet, right? And then if you're last, they already have a fan favorite, right? Again, this is a panel of people and they've been interviewing the same candidates, right? Together. And they're like, oh, I like the girl, you know, with the hair. I like the guy with the tie or whatever, right? And so they kind of already have chosen their favorite in terms of like, if you're the last person. So you're competing against that ideal already. And so it told me, it was like, pick the day in the middle because they are the most comfortable there and they haven't had a fan favorite yet. And that is your best chance in getting in good with people. I was like, what? It also said that like in the middle of the week is when people are most comfortable. Like they've settled in, they're not rushing from like meeting to meeting. They are already in like the groove of things in terms of work things. And so they're ready, they're prepared, and you know, they're just happy to be there. And so it even told me to the T like what time. And so I had the option of scheduling like early in the morning, like before lunch or after lunch. And ChatGPT was like, not the one in early in the morning because people are still grouchy, but the one right before lunch is the best. I was like, why? You would think after lunch too. Well, Chat said it's because after lunch is when people start to like get really lethargic and everything, and you know, they get sleepy and everything, and they don't want to be there anymore. They want to go home. So they just want to kind of like get this over with. Rather, if you do it before lunch, it's something that they can check off their list and get it over with and then go to lunch right afterwards. So I'm like, okay, thank you, Chat. And it worked out perfectly because actually what was crazy enough is that during my interview, somebody came in with cookies and everybody was just munching on cookies during my interview. So I feel like, I don't know, it did work out for the best in terms of timing. Everybody was happy. They were asking me questions and munching their cookies and like having their coffee and tea. Overall, it was a great experience. I don't know if I got the job or anything. I'm literally just recording this for your sake so that you have a better idea of what you're getting into if you're about to like, you know, apply for a library job, especially a library admin job. And I hope this helps. I hope this brings value. And if it has, please like and subscribe. Every little bit of engagement helps this small content creator. So thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. Until the next one, bye.